All right. Okay, so I've posted a video yesterday in a few online photography groups and on my YouTube, and it's a fast forward of me editing. Let's see if I have it here. This photo into the next one. Oh, computer is a little slower when I tape. So just so you know, it's not out of focus. It's just taking its time. Okay, so I had this one. So what we did, I have this wallpaper. I saw it one time in a Home Depot kind of store, and I really loved how it looked. So I bought two rolls of the wallpaper and stuck it together and hung it up as a background. So a backdrop for my studio portraits. A lot of people have asked me since then, what kind of backdrop do I have? How much did it cost? And it's really funny because this is probably the cheapest one, backdrops that I have. So both of the rolls I bought on sale, and they were like 20 euros. So that's like what, $23, and maybe not even. So under $50, I got two amazing backdrops that I use for almost every shoot that I do. Um, because it just fits my style a lot. So I have a photo here. Let's see. I love this photo. For example, this is the darker one that I got. So you see, like, it has a nice kind of, yeah, what is structure going on. And then I got this one, which I really love, which you also saw in this one. But the thing is, yeah, they're not too wide. I could make them wider, but then because it's wallpaper, it's really hard to roll it up and it's really hard to store it. So I chose to keep them short. And most of my images are short anyway. There's only a few. You can see them here, down here. There's a few. If you look like in here, you see the image. There's a few that have the sides on it, but most of my photos are not. They don't have the side on there. It's just a few. The thing is, though, that you can see the lines here where I tape them together. And of course, when I do take a like horizontal shot, it's you see the sides. So anyway, yesterday I showed a video where this one is turned into this one, and honestly, I didn't think it was such a big deal, but I thought people would like to see the end result, so that's why I uploaded it. But then I got a lot of questions from photographers who like, how did you do it, and where did you get the wallpaper, of course. But yeah, so it's really not hard. So I thought, since so many people asked, and some people, I guess, if you don't do it often, it's confusing on how I did it. So I thought, okay, let's make a video where I actually do it, but let's turn one of my other images into something new. So we go into Photoshop. What I do is I make an extra layer, and this is my layer. I call it like an overlay because it's overlaying my layer. So everything that I edit is going to go into this new layer. It's not going to go on the original. I do that because, for example, the last time with the other image, I had the elbow here and it's like it was on the side, like it was on the edge. Normally, I try to not do that and shove the person a little bit so every part of their body is on there, but in this case it wasn't. And if I don't use an overlay, I need to really like be very careful with stamping around here. And so what I did is just I overlaid it, I just colored it in all, and then I took like erased that part out again, and it was much easier than when you need to like stamp around it. So that's how. And even so, I still think maybe I need to do it a little bit here, but then I can still erase that, so there's no harm done. I can always change this. So, but in this case, for this photo, we don't have that, but this is just the basics. But I thought, it will help people to understand these basics. Now, there's two tools that I use. So I use the healing. Well, I guess it's not healing. Am I saying this right? It's all in Dutch here. Retouching panel. Is that healing? So honestly, people, I don't know all the names. I learned this on myself and I forget these names all the time. But this one, and I use the stamp tool. So, like the clone stamp tool. But for this one, I think using the healing, it will be better, or the retouching thing will be better because It's sometimes most easiest, it's sometimes the most fluid, and it makes the image more dynamic. What I mean with that is if you stamp this, you get the exact image from here if you stamp it from here to here. And then you see a lot of repeats. And with the healing tool, sometimes it don't, like, it will be bad, but sometimes it works well and then you don't see it. And in this case, I think that will work, but it's a trial and error. So for the last one, the last video that I made, I did use a lot of the stamp tool because somehow it didn't work as well as I figured it would be. So that's why I tried. Anyway, you put it on all layers so that it takes the under layer, which I want. And make sure you're on the new layer though. And I'm gonna take out the stripes. Just easy peasy. Also, what you can do if the lines are too harsh, which in this case they're not, but if they get too harsh, you can diffuse it more up here so that it will be more nicer looking. But so it's really easy, as you can see. It's like bam ba da ba. It's already, and then I can shut this off. You can see what I did. So there's a little bit. It feels like there's a little bit of repeat in the top, but not obviously. And even so, if there is, I'll just scoop over the whole image and stamp a few things in between so that I'm sure that I have no repetitive kind of feelings to it. I'm also going to stamp out here a little bit because I can see, because I have duct tape at the back of the wallpaper, and, and at some point it goes to, it goes like here, you see it. I don't know the English word. Kind of gets stuck there. Okay, that's one. Looks good, right? So it was really easy. That took me, what, 1 minute? Next one. And you have to be careful, of course, around the hair. So then I work with a smaller brush so I don't hit it. And here it becomes a little bit more subtle because this is going to take the most work. This is the hardest part. Probably asking why I did it this way. Normally, my assistant is not in the photo, but in this case, we had an angle where I was like, okay, or I turn her completely to the light, but I do want a little bit of shadow, but I also want a bit of light in her eyes, and it was kind of hard. So here she had to come a little bit closer by, and I figured, well, I'll just take her out. It's also maybe, it's not advisable to do this a lot. I'm upping the diffuser a little. Where the assistant is in, because evidently it takes a lot of time with editing, but in some cases I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll just do it real quick. And I actually like Photoshop, so maybe I'm a total noob, but I can, like, even with my fine art photos, sometimes I work 8 hours on one photo, so I have no problem with this. But, on a financial scale, it's not so smart to use your time too much in Photoshop because it takes a lot of time. Okay, that looks kind of okay. Always make sure that it looks believable with the shadows going into the light, which I think is fine. And even so, if I'm like, okay, I'm doubting if it if it's looking okay, I can take my stamp tool, I can put it a lower opacity. Did you say that? Yeah. And then I'm just going in the middle here. It just gives a soft little, like, shadow over it. So it's like the overtone is a little bit better. Overtone. I have an American husband, you guys, but today my English is meh. But you'll have to work with it. Okay, so we got those done. So the stripes are done. Bam, 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 bam. So then I need to take this out. And this is going to be the hardest part. So first of all, you can see it's like vignetted at the top and a little bit at the bottom here. And this is where it's going to be hard because I have no um, vignette right here. So I'll have to make it somehow, just a tiny bit. At the same time, there's more shadow here than here, so I cannot just stamp from here into there. So what I'm going to do is at first I'm going to just work from top to bottom because I have some here. I'm going to see how it will do with the retouching, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. Yeah, it's okay. And it's like doing it, letting it go, doing it, letting it go. So like, don't do this, because if you do that, it's you'll just get other things in there, and you don't want that. I'm actually thinking I might Photoshop this, like where you see the shadow, completely, because I think it's actually not needed, the vignette. It adds a little bit something something, but I can make that. So I'm just gonna just stamp through all here, see if it works. And sometimes it don't work, and it's okay. You don't need to like be all perfect going over in the stamp tool, clones tool, because I feel like it's getting too much other things in there. Uh, because my English is so bad, I hope I am conveying right what I mean right now. I took a little bit of hair there. That wasn't smart. But anyway, I can always like delete this because it's in my second layer, so don't matter what I'm doing. It's never like there's never harm done if you work from a different layer. Sorry if it skips out sometimes. It goes like in a view. I don't really watch the hair. As you can see, like I'm not a pro retoucher. For sure I'm not. I have learned Photoshop to myself. I have done a few um, workshops where there was retouching in there, or there was, some of it. So, but honestly, only once or something. So I'm thinking like, okay, here there's shadow and here there's not. So to make it believable, I'm just gonna try and smooth that out a little bit and see what it does when I do it like here. Trial and error. I also don't know sometimes what I'm doing. It's just trying, see what looks right. It's like painting, honestly. Okay, so I think I'm gonna take some of here out. Make sure all the lines of her body are still sharp, because that can happen. I'm gonna smoothly go in here. I'm doubting. I don't think I'm gonna bring that shadow back that was there. What I am going to do though is I'm going to put more vignette around it. I mean, you can see it's smoothed out here, so I'm trying to see if it's too much. I don't think it's too much. I think it's only too much when you know that it's there. And that's the thing, we see everything because we know it's there. But it don't mean that other people know it's there, if that makes any sense. Trying to make it a little bit even. Looks believable to me. Okay. What I'm now going to do though is make another layer. I think I'm gonna go with brown more. I'm gonna see what this does. Sometimes you need a darker color. Sometimes I can use just black. Hello, am I on brush? Yes, I am on brush. Alright. So this will look weird for a second. Goes like this. Maybe I'll erase some at the top later on. Pop, 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 pop. You can also do this differently, but I just choose to paint it in. Some people, they make it just a black, or actually I can show you in a minute. They do this. New layer, bucket over it. Then they use their, what is it called? The form tool. I'm taking one more of these. And then the diffuser, don't know if it still will do it now. I put higher. Okay, that's not right. Let's try this again. Okay. The diffuser needs to be on before you do this. Yeah. Okay. So the diffuser needs more light. This is like the old style portrait. Actually, somehow kind of like it, which is so wrong because it's so not okay. 80. Let's see what this does. Actually, what I'm doing is not doesn't make that much sense, I guess. Okay, I'm just gonna do this, and then we erase this out like this. a little bit more erase because then it's not as harsh. Um, mhm. Lighter, lighter. I guess I can just work with that, actually. But the trick is not to make it look too overly. And there was already some dark in there, so I think I'm just going to erase this. So it's not darker there than at the rest. I'm actually going to hold this. And if I then think like, okay, I need some more back, I can just take my brush and put some extra in it. Gives the image a little something something, but you need to try not to make it too hard. And that is where it's kind of hard to sometimes see what you're actually doing and if it's too much or not. So sometimes when I'm done editing, I'll show my photo to another photographer and say like, "Hey, what do you think of this photo?" And I don't tell whatever I've done, and they'll look at it and they'll be like, "Well, it looks good, but," or they say like, "It looks good." I'm hoping that they'll say it looks good, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm awesome like that." I actually do like it darker better, maybe even. Hmm. But if I do that, I have to do it with every image, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. So oh, I'm going too far. So pretty much, it's just yeah, just trying a lot. Use the stamp tool, use the clones tool. It's not that hard. And if I take these away, this is what it was. This is what it is now. So my color editing, just so you know, I'm not secretive about my editing. I think being a photographer is more than my editing, even though it has a big stamp on it. I know that, but I use Tribe Archipelago for this, at least for this series. I used it. LXC, I think. I'm not sure. And then I just dink around with all the tools in there and try to make the skin look a little bit better and stuff. Now, what I'm going to do with this image is, for example, I'm going to just make her arm a little bit less like dotty, I guess. There's a little bit of dots in there. And it's not like also it's that's the thing with studio photography, you see everything on a person's body, but if you see her in real life, you will not look at her arm and think like, "Hey, she has a little bit of spots in here." That's pretty much just the light and the moment and what is reflecting from the walls and stuff like that. So, I mean, evidently it's not like there's spots on the wall reflecting on her arm, but the floor, for example, in my studio is brown, and sometimes it makes the skin a little bit more like if you have small spots or little things, it will make it more evident. But whatever I do with the retouching on the skin, I want it to be looking real. I don't want plastic faces. I'm not a fashion photographer, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll show you that another time. For now, this is what it is, and I hope that you learned from this and that it can help you. All right, thank you for watching.